The sun refused to shine that morning in Yuzuba town. The sky was grey. Even the birds were silent. People gathered in fine clothes, not because they were sad, but because it was the funeral of Papa Ada and Mama Ada, the richest couple in town. The car crash had shocked everyone. One moment they were alive, the next, gone forever. At the center of it all stood their only daughter, Ada, just 26. She wore a black dress and dark glasses, but you could still see her tears. They rolled down slowly, like rain falling from a broken roof. People whispered as they watched her. "Such a fine girl," one said. "She owns everything now," another added. "I hear she's worth billions," said a third, licking his lips. But Ada wasn't thinking about money. She was remembering how her father used to laugh while pouring tea, how her mother kissed her forehead every night. Now the house was empty. The world felt cold. The coffin was lowered into the ground. Dust to dust. Suddenly, Ada's hands trembled. She felt lost. Around her, fake friends offered hugs. Greedy uncles waited to talk about business. But no one saw the pain deep in her heart. As the crowd walked away, Ada stayed behind, staring at the fresh soil. She didn't cry anymore. Her tears were gone, like the people she had trusted all her life. For a moment, it was just her, and the silence. She turned slowly, her face calm, but her chest heavy. The sun touched her back, but she felt no warmth. Behind her, a greedy uncle whispered to another, "She won't last long." But Ada heard him. She kept walking. She said nothing. The mansion was bigger than some hotels in Yuzuba town. There were 10 bedrooms, a marble staircase, and a garden filled with flowers no one remembered to water anymore. But inside, it was too quiet. Since the funeral, Ada had returned to the family house alone. The staff still greeted her with polished voices. The guards still opened the gates with perfect timing. But everything felt empty. Everywhere she looked, she saw shadows of what used to be. Her father's reading glasses still lay on the arm of his favorite chair. Her mother's perfume still lingered in the hallway. At night, when the lights were off, Ada sometimes thought she could hear her mother humming from the kitchen, only to remember no one was there. During the day, visitors came. Most brought gifts. Some cried loudly. But Ada noticed their eyes more than their tears. The way they looked at her, not as a person, but as an opportunity. "You must be strong now," they would say, patting her hand. "And you must not stay alone. A young woman like you should marry quickly." At first, she smiled politely. But soon, they came men in shiny shoes and sweet voices. One brought her books and poetry. Another sent flowers every morning. One even fell on his knees and swore that his heart beat only for her. Ada wasn't sure what these men were after. But something inside her whispered, "This isn't love. This is hunger." She sat by her mother's old mirror that night and stared at her reflection. "Is there anyone," she asked softly, "who would still see me, if I had nothing?" Few months later, Ada met a booker at a business workshop. He was charming, well-spoken, and full of dreams. He didn't stare at her like she was a rich girl. He treated her like someone who mattered. He called her often. He made her laugh. They went to art shows, tried local food, danced under the stars. Ada felt safe with him. She told him things she never told anyone. Soon, they were dating. One evening, a booker sat beside her and said, "Babe, I didn't want to bring this up, but my younger brother is sick. He needs treatment, and I'm short on cash. I'm ashamed to ask." Ada didn't think twice. "Send me the bill," she said. He hugged her tightly. "I'll pay you back." Weeks later, it was a family debt. Then, a land issue. Each time, a booker looked sorry. Each time, Ada gave without question, because she loved him. Then one night, she saw a text flash on his phone. She's still falling for it. "One more week and I'm done." Ada held up the phone, the screen glowing with the message he never meant for her to see. "You sent this," she said quietly. His face went pale. He didn't speak. "Don't explain," she whispered. "Just leave. Don't ever call me. Don't come back." He stood there for a moment, then turned and walked away. Ada's hands shook. Her chest felt tight. She never saw him again. Months passed. Then came Obinna. Obinna was calm and mature. He worked as a finance consultant and was brought in by Ada's accountant to help restructure her growing businesses. He was smart, but soft-spoken. Polite, never pushy. He would always say, "You're doing better than you know, Ada. Your parents would be proud." At first, it was just work. Then it became more. Obinna took her out for dinner after meetings. He remembered the little things, her favorite flower, the song her mother used to hum. He listened. He made her laugh when the stress felt heavy. He said he didn't care about her money. "I just care about you," he said. It felt safe. Real. He met her staff. They loved him. He called her my queen. And she believed every word. They dated for almost a year. Then one morning, her lawyer walked into her office holding a file. He looked nervous. "There's something you need to see," he said. Inside the file were signed papers, contracts Ada never remembered agreeing to. Money had been sent out under her name. Company funds. Slowly. Quietly. Over time. All of it traced back to Obinna. Ada's hands went cold. Her lips trembled, but no tears came. He hadn't just stolen her money. He stole her trust. Her love. Her belief in people. She stared at the file and whispered, "How do you love someone with your whole heart, and still not see the knife in their hand?" Ada didn't want to fall in love again. Her heart was tired. But then, she met Uche. He came through her old friend, Amaka, who said, "He's not like the others." He owned a small bookshop in a quiet part of town. He wore plain shirts, smiled gently, and never looked at her like she was rich. He brought her tea when she was sick. He sat beside her in silence when she didn't want to talk. He said, "You've been through too much. I just want to see you happy." Ada's walls came down. One by one. They laughed again. She found peace in his arms. It felt real. One evening, Uche sighed. "I'm scared, Ada," he said. "The bookshop is dying. Rent has gone up. If I lose it, I lose everything." Ada touched his hand. "We'll fix it together." He smiled, but didn't ask for help. So she offered. She paid his rent. Bought new shelves. Helped him open a second location. It wasn't about money, it was about love. They talked about marriage. She was sure. Until the day her bank called. "Miss Ada, we're just checking, was it your idea to sign off 25 million Nigerian nairas to Uche's company?" Ada blinked. What 25 million Nigerian nairas? Her chest turned cold. She checked the papers. The signature on them looked exactly like hers. But she didn't sign them. She rushed to his bookshop. Gone. Empty shelves. Lights off. She called him. His number didn't exist anymore. On the counter was a note. "You saved me. I'm sorry I couldn't be the man you hoped for." Ada sat on the floor. Silent. Frozen. She didn't cry. She had no more tears left. Ada stayed in bed for 2 whole days. She didn't eat. She didn't speak. She just stared at the ceiling with empty eyes. 3 men. 3 lies. 3 wounds. They didn't steal her money. They stole her heart. Again and again. Everyone told her, "You're too kind." But all she wanted was someone who loved her, not the billions, not the name, just her. That night, she stood in front of the mirror. Her face looked older. Her smile was gone. "I need to know if true love still exists," she whispered. She had a crazy idea. Not small crazy. Big crazy. What if she left everything behind? What if she became someone else, someone poor, someone people ignored? What if the only way to find someone real was to become someone they didn't expect? So, she wrote a letter to her housekeeper and locked her phone in a drawer. She packed only a few clothes. Wore old slippers. Tied her hair in a scarf. No makeup. No perfume. No gold. Then she left. No car. No driver. Just Ada, the billionaire's daughter, now walking like a ghost in the night. She reached the other side of town. The forgotten part. Where the streets were dusty and broken, and the people sat on corners begging for coins. Ada sat beside an old wall, hugging her knees. People passed her like she was nothing. No one knew her name. No one cared. For the first time in her life, she was invisible. The wind grew cold. A baby cried in the distance. Ada pulled her scarf tighter. She didn't know it yet. But her real journey was just about to begin. The next day, Ada sat on the side of the road, her hands out, her clothes dusty. People walked by, fast and busy. Some looked at her with pity. Most didn't look at all. "Go and find work," one man shouted. A woman hissed, "Lazy girl." Her stomach hurt from hunger. Her back ached from sitting on hard ground. The air was hot. Then rainy. Then cold again. Day after day, she stayed in the same spot. She watched the world move on, like she didn't exist. At night, she slept under a broken bus stop, using her scarf as a blanket. Rats ran close to her feet. Her heart began to doubt. Was this a mistake? Was there really any good left in people? She remembered how people smiled at her when she was rich. But now, nothing. Not even a second glance. She had never felt so alone. One day, after 3 full days with no success, she was ready to give up, but then she whispered to herself, "Just hold on, Ada. Just one more day." She stood slowly and walked a little, hoping someone would give her a small change, or just a kind word. She saw a young man walking toward her. Tall. Worn-out clothes. A tired face. He held a small plastic bag. She could smell food inside. Her mouth watered. "Please, sir," she said weakly. "Just one bite." He paused. Most people kept walking. But he didn't. The man's name was Ikenna. He looked at Ada, then at the food in his hand. He smiled, small, tired, but kind. "I don't have much," he said, "but you look like you need this more." He placed the bag in her hand. Ada stared at it. For a moment, she couldn't speak. "Thank you," she whispered, eyes wide. Ikenna sat beside her on the pavement. People walked around them like they were stones on the road. "I just lost my job," he said, picking at a loose thread on his shirt. "The company closed last month. I've been looking for work ever since." Ada looked at him. He wasn't pretending. He wasn't trying to impress her. He was just real. "Why did you give me your food?" she asked. He shrugged. "Because I know what it feels like to be hungry. And alone." They sat in silence. Ada took a bite. The food was cold, but it felt like the warmest meal she'd ever had. "I'm Ada," she said quietly, forgetting for a second that she wasn't supposed to share her name. Ikenna smiled. "Nice to meet you, Ada. I'm Ikenna." She nodded. "Thank you, Ikenna, for seeing me." He looked at her and said, "You look like someone who used to smile a lot." Ada blinked fast to stop her tears. "I did. A long time ago." Ikenna stood up and dusted his trousers. "I come this way every day. I'll bring something for you tomorrow." She looked up. "You don't have to," she said. "I know," he answered. "But I will." Then he walked away. Ada watched him go, a strange warmth growing in her chest. She didn't know it yet. But everything was about to change. The next morning, just as the sun rose, Ada heard soft footsteps. She looked up. Ikenna stood there, holding a small wrapped bundle. "Good morning," he said shyly. "I brought this for you." Ada's eyes filled with surprise. Inside the bundle was warm bread and fresh fruit, simple food, but it felt like a treasure. "Thank you, Ikenna," she said, her voice soft. They sat together on the cracked sidewalk. Ikenna shared stories about his family, his dreams, and the hard times he'd faced. Ada listened, feeling lighter than she had in months. For the first time, she forgot about her pain. She laughed at a joke he told. They talked about everything and nothing, like old friends finding each other again. Days turned into weeks. Ikenna never missed a day. He always brought something small, a meal or a smile. Slowly, Ada's heart began to heal. But deep inside, she wondered, how could someone so kind be struggling too? And why did she feel like their meeting was not by chance? One evening, as the sun dipped low, Ikenna looked at Ada and said quietly, "I believe good things happen to people who don't give up." Ada nodded, hope growing inside her. Yet, a shadow lingered. Few days later, Ada and Ikenna sat on the cracked pavement as the sun began to set. Ada's heart beat fast. Today, she decided, she would finally tell him the truth. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small photo of her parents' grand mansion. Ikenna, she whispered, there's something I need to tell you. I'm not really like this. Before she could say more, a sudden shout came from across the street. There you are. We've been looking everywhere for you. A man in a sharp suit walked toward them. Ada froze. Her secret was out. Ikenna's eyes widened as the man called her full name. He turned to her slowly, confused. Ada, that name, are you from the Ezubu family that I know? The Billionaires. She didn't speak at first. Then she gave a small, quiet nod. Ikenna stepped back. Ada looked at Ikenna, fear and shame burning in her chest. She opened her mouth to explain, but Ikenna just turned the other way slowly, his face unreadable. Without saying another word, he walked away.